non-tech users to create enterprise-grade native mobile applications without writing a single line of code. Just to give you some numbers, there are already 45 odd customers who have already built 75 odd applications on top of this platform, and you would be surprised to know that not almost all of them are created by non-tech users without any active support from a CIO or a tech or an IT team. Just to give you an example, I'll take a case of one of our customers called as Colgate, who came to us a couple of months back, and they had a requirement where they had to give a mobile application to their nationwide sales force. They wanted to do a sales contest for all of them pertaining to a particular brand, and the toughest part was they wanted to go live in less than a couple of weeks. Now this is some kind of requirement which is not a one-time requirement. It is something that gets generated into all enterprises very regularly, and we were able to serve them in less than a couple of weeks. They were able to go live. It was a very successful initiative, and right now when we are discussing this case, today it's the third application that they are going to deploy on this platform to all their users. How do we do that is to give you let's take a deep dive into what an enterprise application actually requires. So if you look at all enterprise applications, there are some components like push notifications, user management and authentication, offline caching, offline data security, encryption, etc. All these layers are something that almost all applications have in common. And if you look at any 5 apps into an enterprise, all 5 of them will be having this component. So what we have done is we have built all of these components into our mobile app itself, which is an out-of-the-box app that all of these guys get. And they can get started really immediately on day one itself where they would want to build. So if there's an enterprise who would want to build a sales app or an HR app or a leave management app, they can get started really immediately on top of this platform. In terms of the business model, it's a very simple business model. We do a yearly subscription where they get this app and a platform completely with them for a year. And on top of them, how many more apps that they deploy on top of this, they pay us a fee. Secondly, since I'm already here, I would like to take an opportunity to tell all of you guys that we are actually opening up a marketplace to host a lot of apps that these enterprises can readily use. We have some apps which are already built and they are already using it, but we would want a lot of you guys to brainstorm, build apps on top of this platform so that we can readily give it out to all these enterprises who can start using and deploying them immediately. I think that's all that is from my side. So you can take that.
So what is the revenue model?
So it's a yearly subscription fee, and they get the platform to use. They get the apps across all 6 different native apps across platforms, and they can start using it for unlimited number of users. It's all in the cloud.
So your competitor would be Accelerator or PhoneGap, or it's not that sophisticated as a user?
So in this market, there are ideally 2 types of people who operate. One is for non-tech users. There are app creators, but they focus majorly on consumer apps like Apple and App Machine, etc. And they are focused towards consumer apps. If I am a business like a cake shop and I can build an app on top of that and give it to my customers, but they do not provide enterprise features which are like connecting to their Active Directories, enterprise security, data policies, user policies and management, etc. So the people that we compete with are players like Kony, Kinway, which are majorly MBaaS players, but they target CIOs and IT users because they give an SDK, and any app that you would want to build on top of that has to be developed. The IT team needs to have a developer across all these platforms and use their SDK to build on top of this. We target the business users directly, and what we have seen since a lot of customers is most of the business users or business heads are scared to go to their CIO team because the whole initiative goes haywire with the timelines, with everything that they would want to because of their different priorities. And we target business users where they can get started with their apps without a lot of support, active support from a CIO or an IT team.
And have those business users that have built apps with you actually use the backend enterprise infrastructure like LDAP, like Active Directory and all that?
Yes, so Active Directory is something which most of these guys want to use because
That's only for single sign-on, right?
that's for single sign-on. So
But
single sign-on.
in what scenario would an enterprise shop allow apps developed by business users to permeate the enterprise infrastructure? That's very unlikely in my mind.
So
I only see this being used for throwaway apps like polls and things like that are outside of the network.
no. So what happens is once this app is already there across all employees, what we do is we can do a segmentation or grouping, and we can have a different view for all the users. So for example, a sales guy who's using our application will have a view where he sees his own applications. Now, when you go towards extensions, we have all these APIs available, which are business critical applications that we are talking about. So customers like banking customers who are doing lead management services on top of this, daily sales reporting, connecting to their internal CRMs. Now, what happens there is it's a hybrid app that we host on our native app, but what opens eventually as a web page is actually hosted into their internal enterprise itself. So they can choose to build it themselves. We expose our native APIs as well as the backend APIs. And in terms of security, they can host it at any point of time at any infrastructure that they would want.
So this is the holy grail in enterprise, right? Being able to write applications without writing code. And over the last 30 years, innumerable companies have tried this and unfortunately have not succeeded. So what are you doing differently that will let you be successful?
So,
and if I may, and have you looked at any of those companies that were not successful and try to learn from them?
So, like I said, the competition that we have is people like Kony, Kinway, Parse, which got acquired by Facebook, StackMob, which got acquired by PayPal. They give an SDK. Now, what happens is, if you look at, there are some components which all of them require almost the basic apps that can be created. Now, even business critical apps require those basic components like a form builder, where, for example, sales input. Almost all business critical apps require a form, which can connect to their internal, probably in Oracle or anything of that sort. And we built those form builders out of the box. We have a content management system which is very strong, which is out of the box. So I can sit in here, wipe any kind of content across any devices remotely in terms of security. If I deactivate a user directly from an AD, he will not be able to log into the application. Even if he is offline, he will not be able to access that kind of content. So that is the kind of stuff that we build, which enterprises just require, because no enterprise will buy an application without passing through these security requirements. On top of that, whatever application that they require, which is maybe a lead management system or DSR or any business critical app, it is majorly their internal data and their front end that they guys show. But what they utilize is the content management and the rules along with it, like push notifications, etc., as well as the native APIs for offline and caching, which we are basically providing out of the box.
So, do you see the CIO as your biggest competition?
Up to some level, CIOs, yes, but it's not that CIOs would not want to have our platform as well, because that is something that also gives them. So if I as an HR head or a sales head want to build 15 applications tomorrow and I want to deploy, it's a huge headache for a CIO. Even if I go to a Kony or a Kinway, I still have to build those 15 applications. With us, they just have to deploy one application. For a CIO, they have to manage only one application across all the employees, and rest all applications which are built on top of that are completely hybrid or onto their cloud.
So who do you sell to when you particularly in the sales scenario? Do you engage the CIO and the business user?
So we start off engaging the business user, and the business user gives a go ahead, and the CIO is just a formality in that case. If we go through a CIO, we have done that before, it takes a huge sales cycle to actually go to a CIO, and then the CIO goes to the business users that you would want to do and actually do a sale.